But if you're taking her and doing something that you would normally do, well, even if that's KFC, if that's a shisha or whatever it is, she's coming and seeing into your world. Now, if she fits, perfect. If she doesn't fit, no worries, but it's not your, take her into your world. That's what I always say. You hold her hand and you take her into your world. That's my advice if you want to be the leader in the connection.
Who should pay on the first date?
You know what I'm going to say.
Men.
You know what I'm going to say. Of course. Of course. But the thing is, I'm from a different culture.
But but I can't understand. I mean, the woman paying on the first date, I just think that's ludicrous.
Yeah.
But the splitting situation, if I was to say, oh, can we split this? Like, I've already ruined it.
Yeah, but the thing is, I understand for, like, in British culture, because the women are feminists and they do want to split it. I can understand it. But in Dubai culture, it's just, there's girls that know that they could go with a different man and never even have to fidget. So that's why it's a bit harder. But I do understand it in different cultures, because in different cultures, the women insist on paying and splitting. So I understand whatever works for you. But for me, and growing up in a Muslim environment and being from Dubai, it's just, you don't,
The only time I would allow it would be if we'd already had a couple of dates. Yeah. She had maybe invited me somewhere, and it's nothing crazy. It's nothing fancy. It's like paying for some food which isn't really that expensive.
She wants to do it. Sometimes a woman's itching to do something back. She's always itching to do something back. And so you give her an opportunity to do something back. But at the same time, in the first day, she won't feel like it's a date if she split it. She would feel like she went to see a friend.
And I think it's very dependent upon how much money she's earning as well. Like if I know she's not making that much money, then I would never allow her to pay. But if I know she's got a good job and she's making dough, I'd be like, okay, you can pay for that.
One thing I've noticed, women that are hyper successful, men say they like hyper successful women and they like independent women. But what independent women find is when we become like more financially stable, men don't give us the same investment. Whereas if we're a bum and don't have a job, they actually invest in us more. Do you think that's true?
I think so. This is a question which I wanted to ask you is if you have a man who's very masculine. Yeah. And they are together with a woman who has a lot of masculine traits. Yeah. Like they're very alpha, very independent, don't need a man, whatever. Do you think they can date? Because my experience of dating these alpha women doesn't end well.
No,
we clash.
It doesn't end well. But here's the reason, I would say, because a lot of people say, oh, when women earn more than men, they're more likely to divorce them and more likely to end it. But the reality is the reason why they're more likely to end it is because men take their foot off the pedal when the woman is financially stable. But that same man will meet a woman who's unemployed, sits at home and watches TikTok all day and give her an allowance and support her and take her dinner and do all of these things. But that woman who's hustling and working hard, he doesn't even think to grab her lunch. So that's why she gets resentful that I'm working hard, and because I'm working hard, you're investing less. When really we should be rewarding the hard work because they still like to be looked after. It's not a financial thing.
For me, because of the way I'm wired, I just would not allow that to be the case. Yeah. If she's super successful, she's making loads of money, I'd be like, there's no way that she could be outdoing me. Like, I have to be outdoing her. Yeah. Which is why I've noticed when I've been in a relationship with someone who is super smart and they're making a lot of money, and if anything, they're probably more intelligent than me. Yeah. Maybe I know more about certain topics than she does, but she's overall a really smart girl. Yeah. I find that really motivating, and it really encourages me to level up. Yeah. I remember, I think this was 2021, I was dating someone and she was extremely smart, and she was kind of, she's a healer. Right. So she's very much into psychology, but very smart. Yeah. Very well read. And being with her really encouraged me to level up because I wanted to impress her.
That's good. But the thing is,
but I know a lot of guys would probably feel inferior.
It might inspire a man, but it doesn't inspire him to invest in her. And women still seek investment. What happens is, as the woman gets more successful, I know it sounds stupid because you're like, you can do it yourself. They end up feeling like no one's looking after them. And what happens is, I always say to women, just be a damsel in distress. Always be a damsel in distress, because when you show a man you're independent, he treats you like you're independent. And then they lose that dynamic of like being looked after. So if you want that feminine, masculine dynamic, you almost have to be the damsel in distress, because men do take their foot off the pedal when they know that you are financially stable. They let you do it yourself, but with another woman who's not so smart and not so successful, they do everything for. So women feel like they're almost shortchanged when they become successful, in my experience.
So speaking of dating, how do you know if you've been friend zoned or not?
The responsiveness from women. This is all it boils down to. If you are trying to contact a woman and you're getting delayed response and busy scheduling, she's not interested. It's really that simple. When a woman likes you, she will cancel plans. She cancels plans. She responds immediately. She becomes available. When she doesn't really like you that much, she's unavailable. It's really that simple. I always think you, as a man, friend zone yourself. People can friend zone themselves, or they don't. How you friend zone yourself is by not making your intentions clear. There are men that I'm friends with but are still not in my friend zone, because they'll always make a flirty comment. They'll always remind me that they're interested in some way, shape. And I'm trying to put you in the friend zone and you keep coming out of it. So I can't put them in the friend zone.
Do you think men and women could be friends?
Yeah, I do. But it takes a level of, both of them have to not be attracted to each other. Yeah, and I think you miss out on life when you aren't friends with the opposite sex. You miss out on so much in life, because there's so many times where you might be fighting with your partner and you talk to your female friend and she's like, I can't believe he said that to you. And you talk to your male friend and you're like, don't be stupid. You know what that means? He's just a bit tired, blah, blah, blah. And they give you so much free game. They give you so much free advice. All of my videos, a lot of people will be like, how do you understand the male brain so well? A lot of the time it's because I'll call a male friend and they'll tell me, this is what it means when your man is doing this. This is what it means when he does that. They tell you everything.
Do you think if they had the opportunity, they would?
Absolutely. They're not blind. They'll do it, but they're not going to have the opportunity. Yeah, they're not going to. It's not about would they, it's the could they. If there's no could, then they can't. Yeah.
See, this is a big problem I've had in a lot of my relationships.
Yeah.
It's having other female friends, because it has tended to be the case that they've
interested.
Well, I don't know if they're interested or not. Maybe they are, but they've been attractive.
Right.
That's a problem.
Okay.
So I can actually be friends with an attractive woman.
Yeah.
So I have discipline. Like, I don't feel the need to sleep with every single attractive woman I see. If I did, I wouldn't get anything done.
Yeah.
So I have these female friends and I want to continue having those relationships with them, usually because they're very intelligent.
Yeah.
And just spending time with them, I learn a lot, or they're very good contact to have.
Yeah, they're amazing.
But I have had so many arguments about this because they don't believe me.
But you know what? I think that, like I said, you gain so much. And I think that men that don't have female friends, they hypersexualize women. They get nervous around women. They think women are this really strange enigma. They lose their ability to have charm around women. But when you have lots of female friends, you realize they're flawed. You realize they're stupid. You realize it removes their mystery. So I think men that never have female friends and women that never have male friends, they get overexcited when they're around the opposite gender. Whereas when you've always had male or female friends, you recognize it's just a person. Whereas when you don't, you think it's a potential sexual contact and you get too excited. I think it's actually a bad thing if they have no male or no female friends, because then they tend to get too excited around the opposite gender. In my experience.
So scenario, we're in a relationship. Would you let me have hot friends?
No.
That goes against your point, though.
I know. Depends how hot. I don't mind. I know. To be fair, I wouldn't mind too much. But if she posts a lot of hot stuff, I would rather you not see your female friend's naked body.
Let's say, for example, she's in the fitness industry.
Right.
Well respected in the fitness industry.
Yeah.
We go to work out together.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
In that scenario, if it feels like, and she's hot.
Really hot.
Yeah, no,
great
you're
body.
Not doing that. You just change
the body's unbelievable.
Yeah, no. Why are you adding insult to injury? No, you're definitely not allowed. No, it's just not appropriate.
Okay.
There's boundaries.
So I can't have any hot friends.
There's boundaries to friendships. There's boundaries to everything in a friendship.
We're just working out.
But there's boundaries to that, because I know when you're working out, and I've had male and female personal trainers working out with them is not a good look. Because working out it's not the right boundaries. It's not the right. Friendships comes with boundaries, and the reason why I would allow my partner to have female friends is if he understood the boundaries without me saying them. Whereas if there's female or male friends where you have to teach them the boundaries, then it's a problem. But it's harder in your industry. It's really hard in your industry.
Yeah, because I mean, even it's the collaboration. So I don't want to just only collaborate with men.
Yeah.
It's good for business and adds more. Particularly, the majority of my viewers are men anyway.
Right.
So if there's a female involved, like they get all excited about it. They want to see the interaction. They want to just maybe have something to look at as well.
Yeah, of course.
So I want to continue doing that. And there's always been problems.
Would you ever be with someone who's in the industry, like a fitness model, and make it easier for yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be a good look.
But I've noticed female fitness models who have a big following, they're pretty crazy.
Why?
Well, it depends. It depends. There's some who are like really sort of like well respected.
Yeah.
And they don't show much.
Would you mind
they have this. They can still be sexy, but they don't show too much. But the majority of these female fitness influencers, their ass is everywhere.
Yeah. And would you mind if your girlfriend had an OnlyFans?
Oh yeah.
Why would you mind?
Because everybody would be able to see the private parts.
Okay. And
I wouldn't necessarily. I wouldn't respect her values. I think it's very important if I'm going to be in a relationship with someone or we're going to get married, we have to have the same values.
Yeah.
And it's something which I disagree on.
Right.
I think that woman has taken the easy route.
Right.
You know, even with myself, I have done it the hard way to get to where I am today. I have had many offers. I could have done some pretty degrading things. I could have got OnlyFans myself and made $100,000 a month.
Yeah, you could easily done that, yeah.
But I was like, no, because it goes against what I stand for. I have too much pride.
Okay.
So I would much rather do it the harder way, the slower way.
Yeah.
And then even when you get to that point, it's way more satisfying.
Yeah,
and you can talk about how you got there. But if I'm doing this podcast, I'm like, oh yeah, staying in this apartment because I do OnlyFans. People will be like,
yeah,
okay, well, good one. And then it tarnishes your reputation.
It's unfortunate. Yeah, it does do that.
So I could be friends with a woman like that. I could maybe have a short fling with a woman like that, but I couldn't. And I would respect her. Like, say for example, the girl I met in Bali.
Yeah,
she's got a family out of poverty, so I respect that and understand that. But
starting a relationship is a different kind of level of respect.
I would not do that.
Fair enough.
To
each their own.
So respect everybody who's doing that, but it's just not my thing.
Yeah, to each their own. We're not here to judge anyway, but to each their own.
Here's another good question. We're in a relationship. Would you let me go on a lad's holiday?
No.
No.
I'm very strict. I'm very strict. It's like I'm very strict, but it would depend on the age and stage and all these things. But this is what I tend to do. I tend to be with people who are just not that way inclined too much anyway. So if it's a case of you're going and it's like all the time and it's all this, that, and the other, I don't really like that. But if it's occasionally here and there, I still don't like it, but I might be less difficult.
But what if you wanted to go on a girls' trip somewhere?
I don't do that. I don't do that. Yeah, I don't do that. I'm not a girls' trips kind of woman.
See what I do is I'm flexible. And if it's something which they want to do, I don't say don't do it.
Yeah.
I just give them the option.
Yeah. Would you mind if it goes on girls' trips?
So if they want to do it, they can do it.
Yeah.
But how they react to that will determine whether or not I continue with that relationship.
Okay.
So let's say, for example, I say, maybe she's talking about it or her friends have mentioned it. I say, yeah, she'll go.
Yeah.
But if she goes, then I'm like, okay, you would much rather be with your friends partying in Mykonos than to be with me. And I'd be like, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to go to Ibiza or I'll go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And then it just gets
But here's my thing with holidays and stuff like that. When you say, I trust my partner, you can trust your partner, but there's environmental factors in our behavior. And I would prefer a partner who doesn't put themselves in that environment, just like I don't put myself in that environment because I respect the boundaries of the relationship. Doesn't mean you're caged, but there is boundaries towards everything. And there could be holidays here, there, and somewhere. No, it's not the end of the world, but it's somebody who's got that craving all the time is not somebody who's ready to settle down. That's what I was saying.
I'm in relationships, I barely go out and party.
Yeah, especially when you live in Dubai. Like, you don't need to go on as many holidays. You live in a holiday. Yeah, so you don't need it so much. But you wouldn't mind too much if she goes...
It depends where she's going and who she's going with.
Okay.
Because I still want her to be free and to live her life. Like, she doesn't always have to be with me. If anything, it's quite nice to have a bit of time apart every now and then.
Yeah. I just think watch people do what they truly want in life and then pick your poison. Who would actually not require you to be controlling? Who would naturally be in line with your values, and that's the person you select, rather than choosing someone that's got completely different morals and like holding them by the throat to be like the way you want them to be. Just pick correctly.
But I think as well, if you've been told you can't do this, it makes you want to do it more.
Yeah, I suppose.
But if you've been given the option you can do it if you want to, then you're like, oh, okay. And then you probably just don't end up doing it anyway.
Yeah, I think especially with men, if you let them think they've got the option, they'll do what's usually the right thing. But when you try and control them, they kind of rebel as much as possible. So yeah, you got to just let them be.
But I will always have this issue, particularly at this point in time, because of what I do, the nature of what I do. I do need to travel to network, collaborate, make... Like, I can't always just do these podcasts in Dubai. At some point,